Hello and welcome to the No Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald, with me co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today we are doing an NBA expansion episode because, spoiler alert, expansion is on the horizon. Um, we're going to talk about it today. We have a couple cities laid out for each of us on team cities that we think would have some really interesting expansion options, some teams and some designs. And we'll go over expansion rules at the end. I know that's not necessarily always people's favorite things, but they're things that people talk about um, when considering expansion. Uh, if I had to give a date right now, I'll just throw out the date. Maybe not a date, but a calendar year. I think that expansion might be announced within this current calendar season, and the 2027-28 season would probably be when any type of expansion were to come. Like the two new teams were to come into the league. That would probably be their first season. Anyway, Sheldon, I'm sure you have a couple cities and some designs that you really like. I'll let you go ahead. What is your first one? I think this is a layup here. Oh, first of all, you had me the trivia question. So we'll do that first. Daily trivia question.
All right, so in on par with the theme of today's discussion, we're gonna go with some Supersonics trivia for you. One of the not the most recent. Was Vancouver the last one, or was Seattle the last one?
Uh,
Same
there
timeline,
was
but
a bunch of weird stuff with Charlotte too.
one of the more memorable expansion teams in the Supersonics. Um, so here we go. Who is the first player and this is multiple choice, Patrick. First multiple choice of the series. Who was the first Seattle Supersonics player to be named MVP of the NBA All-Star game? Was it A, Tom Chambers, B, Sean Kemp, C, Lenny Wilkins, or D, Gary Payton?
See, my brain instantly went Sean Kemp just because I feel like his play style more fits the All-Star game. He's on some 90s All-Star teams probably. He probably got some really cool highlight dunks in there. Uh, I'm gonna go Sean Kemp. That was my that was my gut, and I don't want to talk myself out of it. So Sean Kemp. Uh,
All right. Unfortunately, it was wrong. The first one to win it was 1971. It was Lenny Wilkins, who was I think he was apparently he was also part of the oh wait, no he wasn't. But yeah, so that's the answer. Lenny Wilkins, 1971, first Seattle Supersonics All-Star MVP. So good
yeah,
guess though. I definitely because Sean Kemp was catching bodies back in the day, so unfortunately
yeah,
he just a little bit later.
yeah. I definitely remember the Lenny Wilkins. Uh, my dad had been born the next year, so I should have remembered that one.
The
Uh,
legendary performance.
yeah, but Lenny Wilkins first super or All Star Game MVP. Anyway, expansion cities. I'm sure your first one is Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the ones that definitely have a lot of movement behind it, just because the city is missing their team. They population about 775,000 people, so they have a lot of people. And back when they were a team, there was a huge fan base for them. I would keep everything the same, really, if they can. Bring back same jersey designs, uh, same logo, same colors, because I think it would bring back the old fan base and also get the new fan base involved. As long as some nostalgic parts added in, I think it could be a really nice look for the NBA if they went with the Supersonics. Bring back the Supersonics.
Okay, I agree. I have a question. Do you think they pull from the Mariners and say, Logan Gilbert, you're 6'8", want to play power forward for us?
They might have to.
um,
Um, but yeah, and then I think I would put them into the Western Conference
for sure.
if they could do that. So
While this has come up, it's been a common talking point. The league, if I'm sure you've looked at it on a map, it is like all other sports, very easternly focused. There's a lot of teams. If you draw a line right through the middle of the United States, there's more teams on the eastern side. This is the same thing in all other leagues, except in the NBA, there's just two divisions of teams. There's obviously more divisions, but Eastern Conference, Western Conference is where it really matters. Um, so there's teams that are, uh, you know, going across country in their conference almost. Memphis, New Orleans, Minnesota, they are so far away from the Lakers and the Warriors, teams like that. Um, Especially in the NBA where there's not a NFC AFC thing. It's Eastern Western Conference. I think it's been proposed that there are likely going to be two Western Conference teams added to move a Western Conference team over to the East. Um, the commonly thrown out names are the ones I just mentioned: New Orleans, Memphis, Minnesota. If I had to pick a name of those three, I think it would be Minnesota. Just because geographically they're not the most east. I think both of those other teams are more eastern. But Minnesota, proximity wise, they're close to Detroit, they're close to Cleveland, they're close to Milwaukee. They're not. I think the closest Western Conference team to them is OKC. Um, and same thing with New Orleans and Memphis. I think the other closest Western Conference team for them, I think for New Orleans is Houston. But then for uh, Memphis, I think is OKC. Like those are a lot closer than Minnesota is to OKC and Texas, all the Texas teams. So if I had to pick a team to move east, it would be Minnesota. And we'll see. The NBA has said they're looking. They haven't said that they're going to add two Western Conference teams, but it is because negotiation wise, you want to have the rest of the country also putting in bids. But if they were to remain with the Eastern West conference alignment, then they would probably want to have two Western teams. Now, what's your next team? It might also be a Western one.
This one is gonna get this one's gonna get a little interesting. I think that the NBA is gonna look to go to a different country again, maybe expand a little bit. A city that they've been a couple times, but not really highlighted. But I think Mexico City could be a very interesting place to have a basketball team. Obviously, the Mexican fans aren't like as well versed as in basketball, and I think that bringing it to that country could really be a huge success because we see the success that soccer has on the economy in Mexico City. I think it could bring a lot of revenue in for the NBA. Um, they'd be called the Mexico City Aztecs as homage to the Aztec uh, people. Colors would be like the flag, some sort of combination of red, white, green or red, something like that. Maybe some alt uniforms um, with some black in there. And I think that the uniform should have like the Aztec and Mayan kind of art and designs on it. Maybe whether it be that trim, like going down the jerseys, or just like I don't know like all the art, but yeah, you get the idea. They're a huge city. It said 22.5 million people.
In
It's
Mexico
crazy.
City?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate. There's like a bunch of, but they have a lot of soccer stadiums there as well that can hold NBA teams. I think it could be really interesting. Um, Mexico City, I don't know where it would fall, what kind of conference it would fall into. Maybe the East,
It'd
maybe
be
the
in the
West.
West.
Yeah.
It's close to Texas, or it's like south of Texas. Unless I'm completely butchering this, but I think it's like just
Well,
south
we're a
of Texas,
basketball
a
show,
mile or two.
thankfully, not a geography one.
Yeah, I got my geography credit a while ago. I'm done with that one. Um, yeah, I think it's just south of Texas. It would be probably in the same conference as or same division as Houston, Phoenix, Dallas, San Antonio. Uh, I'd be interested in how divisions realign. Um, Maybe later this episode we'll pick two teams and realign divisions however we think. So we'll probably either remove division or a division or two or add a division or two. We'll see how it ends up happening. And then what else was I about to say? Mexico City. I think it's a great city. I think Adam Silver's talked about this. The biggest issue with Mexico City is global policies. That's gonna maybe not an issue. They'll still try to work things out like they have each of the past couple years to get games there. But it would be harder to have a full business operating with a city in Mexico. Although I'm sure if it's the best option, Adam Silver's going to absolutely take it. And I think it is also a really good fit. And I think if the political policy wasn't interference, I think it would be probably the second best option after Seattle as well. I'm interested. You said you had 4 specific ones that you really liked. I'm interested what the other 2 are.
I added another one, but we're gonna come back. Okay, hold on. We're gonna go back to Canada for this one, Patrick. But it's not
Okay.
gonna be where a former expansion team was. This time we're gonna go to Montreal. I like Vancouver. I think it could bring a lot of stuff back, kind of like what I said about Seattle with the um with all the nostalgia of the Supersonics. But Montreal's Pat is just a bigger city, and I think there's more opportunity. There's a lot of people there as well. The team would be called the Montreal Huskies. Huskies is like a cold, like known for an animal that be in the cold. So I went with the Huskies. It would be kind of like either a combination of blue or black. I don't know which one would look better, but definitely with some white. And jerseys would be like nothing too crazy, kind of simple design. I guess it would kind of be like the Timberwolves now that I'm talking about it, but
Evil Grizzlies, like
yeah. Oh well. Um, but yeah, so just something like super simple, nothing too crazy. And there's a great fan base there. They have a hockey team that has an insane culture, and fans are always popping out, even though they're not a very good team and disappoint them every year. So I think that there would be a strong fan base and culture here, and it'd be interesting to have another team in Canada. I
yeah,
don't I don't know geographically where they align. So they might be a West team.
they are an East team.
Oh, so perfect. They could slide right in with the Raptors.
Geographically very similar to Toronto. They'd be in the same division as Toronto, Boston, New York, Jersey. Um, I think Montreal, I think the biggest thing going for them is they have the hockey team up there. Boston Celtics, they play in the Boston Bruins arena.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yep.
a big uh, landmark in an expansion process is building a stadium. Um, and since there's already a stadium there, they just have to work out a leasing agreement uh, with the Montreal. What I don't
Canadian or I think it's the Canadians or the
Canadians.
Habs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Canadians. I'll
I
look it up.
I know there's a team called the Canadians. I don't know if it's the Montreal team or if there is a Toronto team. That's Maple Leafs.
Yeah, the Maple Leafs. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Canadians.
Okay. Yeah. So that would be interesting. Here, I know you had thrown out your idea. What if they embrace a former Montreal sports team and use the Expos? Because I know they've been wanting the Expos back in Montreal.
That would be awesome. It would be very confusing. I think what they could do though is maybe take like uh they had the baby blues, right? The Expos had the baby blues and the white and red. So maybe they could go like kind of like a jersey combo or like the colors to be that of the team, like
Hmm.
kind of like a homage, pay homage to them, and then they had the same logo. Yeah, that actually be pretty cool. I think it would be. I think it'd be confused. I don't know because every time I hear the Expos, I think of baseball. So,
Yeah,
but I think if you could somehow spin it, yeah, for sure, that would be awesome.
yeah. It wouldn't quite be a St. Louis Cardinals where they have both the Cardinals in football and baseball,
Mm-hmm.
um, until they went to Arizona. But like
Mm-hmm.
now, it's like there isn't the baseball team there, so you're
Yeah,
just
true.
kind of holding on to the reign. I think it would be kind of cool. That's if there was a Montreal team. Um, and I think just since it is, we already have a team in Canada, like the logistics of it are already kind of worked out already. I do like Montreal, and it's a sports city already. So Montreal's a very, um, I'm not sure if it's has the upside that the NBA might want. I think maybe they might be a little concerned with what would happen to the Raptors,
Mm-hmm.
because they are one of the bigger fan bases in the NBA already. So we'll see how that ends up working out. But the logistics already lined up, so it's a good like fallback option for sure, for sure. Um, hit me with the next team. What you got?
All right, next one. We coming to the East. We're staying in. Or going to the states now. U.S. I'm saying. Um, we're gonna go to Nashville, Tennessee, Pat.
Okay.
It's the area of my next team, the Nashville Notes. I don't know if you know, but Nashville is huge music scene. A lot of famous musicians come out of there. Um, they would wear black and gold theme. They'd be music notes. I think jerseys with like a bunch of little music notes like on them would be sick. Um, just different kinds. Nashville, it has a hockey team, so they have that arena. They would have a great fan base. Nashville's like a beautiful place, beautiful city. Uh, lots of lots of chance for some income for the NBA there. And I think it would kind of switch things up. I don't think a lot of people think of this Nashville as like an expansion threat really or choice at all. And I think it would be pretty interesting to see what that would look like.
Yeah, Nashville's interesting. I think what makes them particularly interesting is uh, in other professional sports, uh, the Titans are already in Nashville. MLB does not have a Tennessee team. Uh, I don't know. NHL, do they have a Tennessee team? It's not one of our sports.
They have the Nashville Predators.
Okay, and then in NBA they have Memphis, and they're the only league that has Memphis. NBA more than any of the other teams has a ton of unique cities. MLB they repeat a ton of teams. NFL they repeat a couple cities as well. Uh, NBA just has the Lakers and the Clippers overlapping. Um, they pick a ton of unique cities. Um, Nashville would be interesting. I like Nashville. Um, the logistics are pretty straightforward. Building a stadium, they have the hockey stadium already, so a leasing agreement there probably can come to an agreement. I think ownership would like that. Sneaky thing is we're kind of running out of billionaires who can buy organizations. Um, if I had to put one limiting factor on how soon expansion would be, it's the Celtics' current sale right now, um, because the NBA wants the Celtics to sell before any type of expansion team is thrown out there, because then they have a current value evaluation of how valuable an NBA team is. It's also the Celtics, one of the more valuable ones, so it'll probably push the price up. Um, and they're similarly a team that doesn't have stadium rights. So I think it can be very similar to a lot of the situations these new ownership groups are going to be buying teams in. I like Nashville. I think it's a good idea. It's a good big city, um, division wise. It's right on the cusp. It's more western or more
Yeah,
eastern than Memphis is. But so it would probably be in the East.
Oh,
And I would think the NBA would try to schedule them against Memphis 3 times a year. Real quickly, I have a couple more cities just to throw out there. The most popular one, I was surprised this wasn't on your group of four, Las Vegas. I have a little interest. There's an interesting note with some current NBA stars with Las Vegas. It would be a very interesting city, specifically with the gambling uptick in the country right now. And if they were to add another Western Conference team, I think it would be very likely that they add Las Vegas, and it would bump Phoenix out of the Southwest Conference probably. Vegas is an interesting one. Another city that I really like. NBA is the only major sports league that has one and only one Florida team. Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, or I guess Orlando. I
oh yeah, you can't forget about
I
that one.
can't forget about the Orlando Magic. It's because Orlando doesn't have a team in any of the other leagues. I don't think of it as a Florida city. Um,
Damn.
it's just a southwestern city that's got Disney World. That's how my brain thinks of Orlando. But still, like I think most of the other leagues have three. I think MLB only has two. I think the NFL and NHL three. So it's very possible to add either Jacksonville or Tampa Bay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you do not want to add Jacksonville.
Okay.
It's not a valid city.
Tampa Bay.
Straight up.
If you want to look at previous NBA trends, Thunder, right before they relocated Seattle to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma City had to house the New Orleans Hornets in 2005 due to Hurricane Katrina. And then that's part of the reason why OKC got the Thunder. When COVID shut down any access to Canada for the NBA, the Raptors had to play in Tampa Bay. So I think this could lead, there's already a running connection with the city of Tampa Bay and the NBA, kind of similar to Mexico City, even though it's not as important. Honestly, I even forgot the Raptors played in Tampa Bay for a while. Like I would not have been able to tell you that until
Yeah.
I saw it the other day. Tampa Bay could be an interesting team. I think out of all the Southwest or Southeastern teams, besides probably Nashville, I would say they're probably the next team or the next potential team. We're 100% going to get two teams. That's how all the verbiage around this is. Previously, the NBA they expanded kind of freely. It would either be two teams at a time or one team, and then a year later there would be another team to even things out. They're going to do two teams at a time, split up the two conferences. Maybe they'll realign it in a way that surprises us. We're not sure yet. Let's see. Did we forget any major cities?
I had one more.
One more.
Yeah, I thought maybe San Diego could be cool if you want to add a Western Conference team.
San Diego's cool, but there's Sacramento, San Francisco, to LA, potentially Vegas. That overall market might not have a ton of opportunity.
Yeah.
We saw similar things happen with the Chargers having to get moved out of San Diego. San Diego's still a possibility. I wouldn't think both San Diego and Vegas get a team.
No.
If I had to pick one other team, because it's been rumored that a Kansas City or just Kansas City. I don't know where else I was going with that. Potentially coming into the league. I think a lot of the rumors around it have been Jason Tatum, saying that if he were to ever leave the Celtics, it would be going to a potential Kansas City expansion team.
Him and Bradley Beal running the St. Louis backcourt would feed families.
Because Beal's from there too, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's from there, and then there's like some hockey player that also is from there that
went to
Tatum
school
went to
with
high
Tatum.
school with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If we were based out of southern Canada, we would know that guy right off the top of our heads. Not the case.
Oh, I think it's a Chuck. I don't know.
It's a weirder looking name.
I think he's on Florida though. He's definitely on the Panthers because it was the team that just won the cup. I don't know. Don't fact check me. NHL knowledge is very bleak.
When I found out about the Panthers, this is me looking up for the Carolina Panthers game. I don't know why I wanted to watch the Panthers that day because they suck. They might have been playing the Bengals. That might have been why. Because I got Joe Burrow on my fantasy team. Anyway, where were we going? Basically, now that we've thrown out all the teams that we really think are serious, I guess shout out to Vancouver. They could maybe get a team back, but that'll probably be in another expansion because they're not going to do 2 homecomings as their expansion teams. I think that pretty much alludes to one of my expansion teams. I think Seattle's 100% getting an expansion team in the first round of expansion. What are the 2 cities that if you had to pick between, I guess your 2 favorite ones and then your 2 that you think are the most likely?
I guess my favorite ones. Probably Mexico City and Montreal. Realistically, I think it's going to be the Supersonics in Vegas. I think Vegas gets one because they already have the cup there. They already have the NBA Cup there. Everyone loves Vegas. Who just moved to Vegas recently?
The Raiders.
Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've had a lot of revenue success, not actual success. So I think that's definitely going to be. I think that's like the NBA's wet dream right there. They can get expansions to Seattle and Montreal, or not Montreal, Vegas. That gives you 2 West Coast teams or 2 Western Conference teams. That gives you the ability to, like you said, move those 2 teams that maybe doesn't really make much sense for them not geographically, but flight wise and stuff. You can maybe move them into different divisions now. Once you do that.
Yeah. I think my favorite cities, I really love the homecoming to Seattle. And as like a logistics person, I really like adding another West team. It's gonna probably be Las Vegas. If I had to make like an honest prediction, like it's probably going to be Las Vegas. If it isn't Las Vegas, I would think that some type of arrangement with Mexico City happened. And I think I would really like Mexico City just because it's expanding the global game. And I think some of the games there, like, there's good energy around the stadiums. A lot of the foreign Spaniard players really like going to Mexico City. I think Mexico City would be a great fit too. The real question is what becomes does it then become the Brighton games like we've seen in the NFL? NBA or the MLB does it as well, where they play in England. Is that a thing that we do now once there is a Mexico City team?
All right. I definitely think that they'll still try to make have a more global impact. Now switching from Mexico City, they'll probably go to Europe more, even though Europe is already pretty big. I'm sure they can do some stuff. I know in the past they did the London. I think they did a couple in London. But the thing is about the NBA, I don't know how like strict are they? Because I know NFL and MLB they literally have it every single year. The NBA I recall having it like once every once in a while. Like they're not very like adamant about making it a huge deal. So I could also see it completely phasing out too. But I think there will always be exhibition, especially in China. If they can, I think if they rectify the stuff with China, then there will definitely be some Chinese
Yeah,
some games in China. I think that's a real possibility, but anywhere else, I could see it being phased out. But China is
big
a real
pull.
possibility because before 2019, like the NBA was trying to expand there.
Yeah, I would think it might take a year or two to once Mexico City, if they get a team, it would probably take a year or two before they find another business city to go to, um, because they already have Canadian teams in that situation. They'd already have a team in the biggest Mexico city, so you're going across continent. Essentially, it would fundamentally make it harder to work out. Um, I think maybe if we're looking at it this way, Mexico City and Las Vegas might be the two obvious picks because Mexico City has every year they have games. Some of them just aren't very good, so it feels like they've never happened.
Oh, okay.
Um, the Mexico City, they're constantly doing games there, and then Las Vegas has the summer league. Did they have the combine there this year? And what else did you say? The Cup, NBA Cup. So these are already partner cities with the league. Um, but it really just feels like Seattle is going to get a team, and maybe that is just a pipe dream that everybody has around NBA fandom that they're going to get a team. Um, but I would be very surprised if it wasn't one of these or two of these three teams. Um, is how I feel about it. And I feel like
100%.
these are the three best teams. I guess since I mentioned Las Vegas, what do you think the team name would be? Because I could never think of anything besides the Aces, which is the WNBA team, which I think helps them a little bit because they might just play in the same stadium. Or the only thing I could think of was the Gamble,
The Gamble.
the Las Vegas
I
Gamble.
think the Kings, but again, that's a hockey team. So,
Well,
um,
the Sacramento Kings too.
oh, shoot, true. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know. The Gamblers, the High Rollers could be one.
The
Las Vegas High
Rollers.
Rollers. That could be a cool little name, but I don't know how much the NBA wants to
The
promote gambling.
Sluts. I
So
mean,
I don't. I
have you
mean, but
watched the
they are with
broadcast?
DraftKings, so like I don't know. I think High Rollers would be actually a pretty dope name, and then like have some dye as like on the jerseys or something like on the city editions
And
or the spades maybe. Do the
the arena
spades?
would 100% be DraftKings arena, like
Oh yeah, for
100%.
sure. Oh yeah, or Bet MGM or FanDuel
Yeah,
Arena or something like that.
FanDuel, that is an arena. I
That
don't
is already one.
I don't remember which arena. Um, I mentioned it earlier. It's been rumored that LeBron James would want to be an owner of the Las Vegas team. Um, and since he became best friends with Steph Curry over the summer, it's rumored that they would probably be in partnership together. Even though LeBron's crazy rich, he doesn't quite have enough money to just buy a franchise by himself.
Shit. Yeah.
Once you combine like two NBA players, you get DraftKings in there too. You definitely probably have enough money in there. I think that would be a really interesting ownership group.
It would be like what Jeter did with the Marlins, like a bunch of partners.
Or like A-Rod with the Timberwolves. I think that would more have to align with the second expansion if that would be the ownership group, just because I think Steph has another year or two. I think LeBron probably has this year, maybe next year in him. I think Steph has this year, next year. We'll see after
Maybe two
that.
more.
Yeah. I think they align with maybe like a 2030 expansion, if that were to happen, which would probably we're in unwatered territories, talking about 6 years
Uncharted.
from now. So there you go, Uncharted. Either way, let's for exercise purposes, we have Las Vegas / Seattle / Mexico City for two of three teams. We now have to realign the league. Let me search NBA on a map. Because I think that's actually, yep. So, we have the current, we have to place.
Are you going to share screen it?
That is such a smart idea. Okay. Live podcasting. Here we go.
You know how, right?
Yeah, right here. So here we have NBA on a map. Okay, that's not a.
Nice and just click.
We're going.
We're going to Reddit.
Yeah, we're going to Reddit with this. Okay.
Nope.
It's
not sharing. Okay, wait. I was just like.
Shout out to this Reddit user for putting this on the map.
11 years ago.
So, this is up to date, right? There's still the Bobcats, but they are in Charlotte. All right, this one's up to date. So as we see, we got this is why Minnesota's looking to get moved, because look who they're close to. The orange teams of their division. It would be very obvious for a Seattle team to just be put in place of Minnesota and a Northwest division. Las Vegas be right in here.
Probably and then probably Phoenix. Phoenix gets moved maybe to the Southwest, and then you could put Memphis in the East.
No, because they'd only move one team over. Because they'd have 32 teams.
Oh, 32.
Yeah. If they added two more after that, then they could move Memphis to the West.
Or the East.
Yeah, to the East.
Okay.
But how this is set up, I like Memphis still here. Phoenix could go here and you clump OKC in instead, or Phoenix could stay here. I think I would like OKC in the Southwest and Phoenix in the Northwest instead, and then Las Vegas goes in the Pacific. I think that's how it would work. That's the simple way to do this. A more fun way to do this is we could scrap the divisions, maybe scrap how conferences work. Let's see. We could make 4 8-team division. Wait, 8 4-team divisions like the NFL is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be probably a little bit easier. So if we divide this East and West, Memphis is always going to be out of place.
Yeah.
But I think they would be still West. So let's just for this operation, Memphis is in the West. Minnesota's in the East. You go Minnesota, Milwaukee, Chicago, Indiana. That's a 4-team division.
That's a 5 or 4 team.
Yeah. Toronto, Detroit, Cleveland,
New York,
Philadelphia or New York. I see this box here just because New York's
Yeah.
farther from Cleveland and Detroit.
Oh, 4 teams. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
and then you keep it like that. Then Wizards, Nets, Knicks, Celtics.
Yeah.
Charlotte, Memphis,
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Or would you put
Wait,
Miami in there instead of Memphis?
how did wait? We ended up with this
No,
math
we're
number.
good.
We did.
Charlotte, Atlanta, Magic,
Oh
Miami. That's four.
yeah. I added Memphis. They're in the West
Yeah, I
now
don't know why you added Memphis.
because they're so close. This is why everybody wants them in the West because they're right there, man. Um, yeah, and then there's just these four right here. That would make sense. Let's go West now. Memphis, New Orleans, Houston, OKC, Houston, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio.
Maybe Houston, San Antonio.
I think it would keep them on this flight path. I don't know if that makes them
Yeah,
easier. It probably
and
does.
then you go Dallas, OKC,
Denver,
uh, Denver, and then the
Utah.
Jazz. Then you get Phoenix, the Clippers, Lakers, then Vegas,
Yeah,
and then go
if they want to split up California, which they probably would. I don't think they'd have an issue with it.
and then oh yeah, okay. So either keep California whole division, or go. Oh no, I like Phoenix, and then go Phoenix, Vegas, Trailblazers, Supersonics,
Yeah.
or split up Cali and then go Warriors, Kings, Trailblazers, Supersonics. I think
Yeah,
that's
and what does make this, if it's Mexico City, then they probably need to be here with these Texas teams.
yeah,
And then OKC bumps out or something like that. And then Phoenix would probably be here with two of these teams, and then two of them would be right here with uh, Memphis, New Orleans. Um, so, like, if Mexico City's a team, it would be Grizzlies, Pelicans, Thunder, uh, Mavericks, and then it would be Rockets, Spurs, Suns, Mexico City. And then that would probably put Seattle with Portland, Jazz, Nuggets, and then California is just their own division.
yeah,
What,
I like that.
Western Conference is complicated, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I like how it looks. I think it gets really complicated once we get 34 teams in here, because then how do you divide up 34? Well, it only goes 17 and 2. So you couldn't really restructure conferences until you had 36 teams, unless you wanted to do it right now. So if we have, let's say, instead of an East and West, let's say we have 4 different conferences. What does that look like? Probably in East.
You said
Four different conferences, or yeah, 4 conferences. We a
I go
Northeast,
Northeast, Southeast, Midwest,
Midwest, West,
West.
and that would be 8 teams in each section. So
Yeah.
let's count that up.
So Celtics, Knicks, 76ers, Wizards,
Celtics, Knicks, 76,
Raptors,
2, 3, 4,
Cavs,
6.
Pistons.
I think the Hornets would be dragged into this, right? Because
Yeah, so then take out the Pistons.
5, 6, 7.
Cavs.
Yeah, and then you throw the Cavs there, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wait, what's that for? Oh man.
Yeah, wait, this is really complicated. Maybe
Oh
just
wait,
like
no, Northeast would be uh it'd be Wizards, 76ers, Nugget or Knicks, Celtics, be Raptors, and it would be Cavs, and then Pistons. And I think the Southeast would be Bobcats, Hornets, or Hornets, Hawks, Magic, Heat, Grizzlies, Pelicans. Uh,
you take OKC, Houston.
Maybe go Houston and San Antonio. Then maybe go. The
The West.
Midwest would be goofy as hell because it would be all like fucking Indiana and Michigan teams.
Okay, let's
Because it would
divide
have
it.
to be the Timberwolves.
Let's divide it like this instead, because I think the mid trying to go proximity is kind of tough. Like, let's say we go Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington. Then that would be what? That would be five. Then you go Brooklyn, New York, Boston.
Oh yeah, that's good. And then
And that's eight.
Raptors. Yeah, and then
Then you go
Raptors, Cavs.
Philly,
Oh,
Philly, Raptors,
Philly, Raptors,
Cavs, Detroit,
Pistons.
Indiana, Memphis, New Orleans.
Oh yeah,
Minnesota just always gets killed here. I see why they want this St. Louis team.
yeah. Maybe they should just move Minnesota to St. Louis. Be a lot easier.
Jeff Teague would like it. Um, we're kind of just throwing out ideas now at this point. Oh,
Oh, there we
that's
go.
awesome. You think I can't draw on this? Okay.
No.
Well, I think the West is easier to figure out. Man, I guess do you have any more expansion notes?
No, I think we talked about a bunch of very interesting cities. And it's gonna be see which one. It's gonna be interesting to see which one the NBA ends up picking.
Yeah. Four rules, brief rules. Um, I mean, if I the bidding, the city and ownership group will probably have to fork up $6 billion if I had to guess. Um, Mavericks sold a majority share. Mark Cuban did for $3.5 billion, but it was a majority share, but it was like 65%. So it's like it's almost a majority, but like it's a majority, but it's not like all of the team. It's just like most of it. If you had to sell all of it, it would have averaged out to about 5.5. Then you have to like also pay a little bit to get into the business of the NBA. You have to get a stadium. Some of the teams we mentioned already have stadiums. Um, I think, yeah, I think if you did have the argument for an Eastern team, it would be a four team or a four conference system. Uh, because trying to do it with two other Western teams makes it kind of hard. Um, that was just a side note I came up with. Rule wise, teams would likely protect 8 or 9 players. It might even go as low as 7, but it would be no more than 9 and probably 8. That's how it had been in the past. Um, and the two expansion teams would pick from players that were not protected. This does not include free agents that have, or you can select free agents, but let's say it's in the off season and James Harden's a free agent. As long as the Clippers didn't renounce his rights, they could. James Harden would not be available, and he would not cost a protection from the Clippers. They could protect other names, but Harden would not be available. Um, so it would each team would go back and forth picking players. once a team had a player taken from them, they would not be available to have other players poached from them. So it would be 30 teams, 14 players, I think, would be selected. I don't think they would do the full 15. And basically, it gets really interesting with contract stuff. The expansion teams can take players and cut them, and they don't have to pay them if they cut them, unlike actual NBA teams. So there could be some really interesting stuff in the expansion draft that happens. That's the basic rules. Expansion teams have a limited salary cap their first couple seasons, just because they can't just start with $100 million of cap space. You know what I mean? They have to, because then they would just spend $100 million all at once. It would be kind of like an overinflation. But they would, after 3 years, maybe 5 years, they would have a full normal salary cap. That's how expansion works. They would get a guaranteed top 7 pick in their first draft class. That's how NBA expansion works. Of course, some of this is subject to change. We haven't had expansion in 20 years, but that was just the Hornets. I guess they were the Bobcats back then. Before that, it was 94, I think. So we'll see. It's very likely that I go through NBA rosters and decide what players get protected, and we do an expansion draft together. That is an episode on the horizon. Do you have anything else on expansion, real quick? All right. So that should wrap
Nope.
this one up. It should be going up on Saturdays. Next episode will be an MLB episode with Finn and I. We're going to be going over some recent off-season moves. Following this, there will be a bi-weekly recap episode, which will kind of just feel like a what happened this last week episode, because we recorded the last one pretty recently. But that'll be in a week's time. Yeah, that'll do it for this one. We'll see you guys then.